Blizzard ex-president suggests tipping gaming companies. Interesting.
So, we're going to be discussing the
Interesting.
ex-president of Blizzard, Mike Ibarra, which is coming up with a hot take. And Mikey here says that he thought about this idea for a while, and as a player, since I've been diving into single-player games lately, there are just some that leave him in awe of how amazing the experience was. And at this point, I'm a little bit bewildered. It's like, Mikey, share with the class, please. What single-player games are you playing that are so amazing? Because I can't find anything enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree.
And ironically, like...
Yeah, I mean, and nowadays games, really. Back in the day games, like Doom, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, Dark Souls, those type games, right? I mean, Elden Ring is not that old, but Dark Souls as well. I think those single players games that are kind of have an old genre are mostly good. But nowadays games that are not really in a big genre are not very good.
In the last couple of years, no video game that came out is something that I would consider mind-blowing. I mean, somewhat entertaining, sure, but like nothing out of the ordinary. And apparently he's talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, really, Mikey, we need to get the time machine to go back all the way to Horizon Zero Dawn, and this is what you would consider an amazing game? Big yikes, your standards are low. No, unironically, I would think that when
God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2,
Blizzard...
I don't know what BG3 is, Elden Ring, okay, yeah, etc. I mean, yeah, okay, so I have to agree, God of War, very good game. Red Dead Redemption 2, very good game. Elden Ring, very good game. Like, those are top tier AAA games. So I know where he's coming from there.
was releasing games back in the day, like Warcraft 3, even StarCraft 2, like those were mind-blowing games that, you know, people from around the world would know about. Horizon Zero Dawn is just a glorified Assassin's Creed type of game. It's not that original, it's not worthy of the praise that you're giving it. But anyway, right, Elden Ring, I would say, yes, okay. God of War, meh.
Don't say meh.
I guess like tastes are subjective, but again, like the way you hyped it up, I'm
Yeah,
like,
they
well,
are
the
subjective.
ex-president of
Yeah, I
Blizzard
think
is-
every taste. I think this is his own taste is subjective, right? I mean, it's fully opinion based, so we can't really say. But I think he lays down the point correctly that tipping good games should be a thing.
hyping up games. What is he talking about? And then he talks about the most commercial, meh type of games that there are. He says that I wish I could give these folks another $10 or $20 because it was worth more than my initial 70.
Really?
Jesus Christ, Mikey, you're wealthy. You're very rich, aren't you?
Yeah, I
Mikey,
mean, I think this
if
is
you're
only
listening to
something.
this, let's be friends.
Oh.
I want to be your friend, Mike. If you're this wealthy.
I think this is only something that can be said by people that are wealthy and not necessarily wealthy, but have enough money to constantly buy games and then want to tip them. Obviously, people that aren't wealthy can have the same view or a different view on it, but even if they had the same view and they agreed, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can. So it's something that it's like, oh, it can be agreed upon, but once it's put into place, is it gonna be used?
I want to be your friend. Let's talk. Let's get together. Let's talk about video games. Holy shit, look, he's already giving $70 and he has $20 extra. My god, these Americans, they're rich, aren't they? He then goes on and says, I know most will dislike the idea, but I realize we are tired
think he's
of the
American.
tipping and everything else. But I view this different from a pressure to tip type scenario. Okay, I would prefer we have the reverse. By the way, instead of tipping, I would like for a system that I could take money away from them. The Unity engine had a brilliant idea that developers would have to pay more money to Unity based on installs. See, I love that idea because I could create a program that would install the game on a loop, and if the developer does something to piss me off, I would just fucking install his game out of spite.
Okay. I think the games already do that in like itch and stuff, that you're allowed to tip the developer, but you have to buy the game at the base price or more. So you could buy, let's say the game is a base price of $5, you can buy for 6 or 7. You get the base of the game, and then the tip obviously goes to the developer, right? And some of the ratio of the. I think a lot of people will not like this because it's kind of like yeah, you're allowed, and it's completely optional, so you shouldn't get mad at it because at the end of the day, you don't have to do it. But I think people are still gonna get mad because it got put into place, right? Because that's kind of like society. People get mad at things, although they're not very impactfully big on anything, and it's something can completely be optional. It would still affect their views and opinions on other things, and they get mad over it. So I think taking this from a different point of stand is important, because even if someone would to put it in like Steam, it would impact a lot of the games and the people that play it, because people are like, oh yeah, it could be completely optional, but I don't agree with it, so I'm not going to use Steam anymore. Which I don't agree with, but it would happen, right? So you need to take that point of stand and then look at it from a different view and be like, although people may not fully agree with it, or it could be optional, it's still going to be utilized and not utilized and still be hated to the point where people aren't going to use it.
You insert a man jaw on a female character, 10,000 installs. You shit talk the community, 1 million installs. You hire a racist community manager, or you decide to contract Sweet Baby, 10 million installs. I would fix the game industry like that. It would be so good. So good. But all jokes aside though, we can already tip. What are you talking about? If you like Elden Ring so much, buy the deluxe edition. If you like God of War so much, buy the deluxe edition. Now, I gotta say, these companies, especially the Western companies nowadays...
I agree. But I think you might be missing the point of tipping. Like, when you buy the deluxe edition, not much goes back to the developer. Same with the base game. With the tip, it all goes to the developer, right? So, I don't know how much of the percentage of money when buying the base or deluxe game goes to developer, but I will always know that the full amount of a tip goes to the developer. So I think if you bought the base game of 70, they receive 20, 30, or maybe not even. Then you tipped, 20, 30. That's basically the base game that they're getting back for the full price. Maybe just 10, 20 down.
They like to gimp themselves instead of making like an attractive female character like Stellar Blade and then selling merchandise based on the character, so you can support the company that way by purchasing the merchandise. No one wants to buy the female character from Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, I personally haven't seen people using her as an avatar. I haven't seen people purchasing action figures of her. I'm pretty sure there must be like some t-shirts here and there, but like they're not that popular. See, God of War Kratos actually works. Like, I have seen Kratos action figures and people having Kratos on their t-shirts because Kratos actually looks good.
Yeah.
But when it comes to female characters, they don't make female characters as attractive and appealing as Kratos, so therefore the merchandise doesn't sell. But my point is, if you want to tip developers, convince your fellow AAA game devs to start making female characters that look like the Night Elves of Blizzard. There were many statuettes with Blizzard Night Elves and dragon aspects and all of that they would sell. So anyway, right, like if you for some reason, for some bizarre reason, want to tip AAA companies that already charge you $70 for a game, you do have the options. Like, there is the deluxe edition, and of course some of them, even though they are single player only, they still have in-game shops where you can purchase stuff. So if you're that unconcerned with your money, if you're like some Muslim sheikh that has oil in his backyard that is selling it to the Americans, or if you are Mike Ibarra and you're swimming in wealth, then those options are available to you.
Yeah, this is what I said. Obviously,
However,
those
if you
options are
want to
available, right?
support-
If you're Mike Ybarra. But if you're not, then sometimes those options are available to you, which isn't a bad thing though. It would be totally optional, right? It's not mandatory. So I don't think it hurts anyone.
support indie developers, which are some of the people that I generally think do need supporting. Most of them, as far as I know, do sell art books of their games. The developer that made Helltaker, which is a free-to-play game on Steam, is charging, I believe, like $5 to buy the art book and the soundtrack for the game. So you
Okay.
can support him like that.
Right.
Other developers do have Patreons or Kickstarters or various other crowdfunding options.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mike is a little bit bewildered that the community wasn't upset and they took his message on a positive note, but that is because we've already been doing it. Like, most of the indie developers that I know who have released really good games have been rewarded by the market, and I do know that some gamers even purchase 2 copies or 3 copies of the same game and then
Really?
gifting it to their friends simply because they genuinely think it's a good product. And by the way, this is a practice that should be encouraged. It's not as popular in the West as it is in Asia. Like, Japanese people do this a lot with mangas and other things that independent artists are.
I think it should be
pushing forward and they're
genuinely
up.
pushed as a tipping. Like when you buy the game over and over again, it's not generalized as tipping. You're buying the game to increase the production rate or the revenue for the producer, but he's still not getting the full money. So I feel like if they were to ever make something on Steam, it would be like in the Steam market when you like it would be a little page called tip this developer, and then you just click tip and it'll take money. You could put money in or something like that, and it would be fully optional and it wouldn't be put onto you. It wouldn't be pushed onto you. I think that's something that would be successful, especially for the developers, because I don't think people have sometimes the ideas to buy the game multiple times or find their Patreon if they want to tip. I mean, we live in a society where everything is lazy, right? That's what we do. It's not necessarily correct, but that's what we do. So I feel like putting that even in the Steam page could be, I mean, a value to the developer. And maybe Steam itself. I don't know though. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing here. I'm just I'm putting out my view onto this. And my view is kind of neutral.
Starting, so the community wants to help them. Yeah, but like usually it's the merchandise, right? So you actually get something in exchange. Like for instance, if you like Attack on Titan, well, you get a Mikasa t-shirt or you get a Mikasa action figure. And that way you actually support the company, like the royalties go to the actual person that made the thing, but you also gain something in return. So I don't really like the idea of just like throwing money to a AAA company that does have the resources and does have the abilities to actually provide you with something in exchange. However, within the independent game developers that are poor and they do not have the same resources, yeah, with them there are ways to actually put money in their pockets. Again, most of them do have Patreons and
Yep.
they do have other abilities to collect money from crowdfunding. But
Yeah.
all in all, just like giving cash to AAA companies is just fucking bizarre. Not to mention, like, most of the developers and the artists wouldn't get that cash anyway. You're just giving money to the publisher. So I kind of disagree with this take. But let me know what you guys.
So yeah, I think he's saying it as if it was a mandatory thing. He's like, oh, I don't necessarily agree throwing cash at it. It's like if I buy Elden Ring, $60, I don't mandatory have to throw them $5 or more or $1 or more. Right? Like I said, it would be I think he's implying that it would be optional, because tipping is always optional, right? Especially if it was for a game, right? You buy the base game, you get the game. After the game, you have an option to tip or not. He's saying it as if you had to tip mandatorily, as if you had to tip. You're not just throwing money anyone who gives money to the developer by tipping is doing it consciously and knowing that they're doing it. So when you say, I don't agree with throwing money at it, that could be your opinion and subjective. But at the same time, it's completely optional. You don't have to pay any mind to it. But the people that do want to tip could pay mind to it and do it. So I think I agree. But also, I mean, I agree. I don't really care for it if it would ever come in or stay out. I don't have an opinion on it that large. But my opinion is that it would be beneficial to the developer. It might have a negative impact for the community that is put into place for, or the developers, or anything. Like if a developer put a tip page onto the end of his game, that might reduce his sales because people might think he's money hungry, and that's negatively impacting him as a developer in the game itself. But at the same time, I think people just need to understand it's completely optional, and there's no hate if you do or don't do it. So that's my opinion on it. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna link this video in the description. Go subscribe, go leave a like. It was great. See you guys later. See you.